Hey, podcast fans, Daniel Horowitz back in the house here for an end-of-week message. We're all looking forward to the weekend after a long week. Sorry I haven't posted on Facebook in a while, so I wanted to give you guys this video presentation. You know, when you think about what our government is doing, when you juxtapose what a government should be doing to what it shouldn't be doing, we have an immoral, illegitimate government at every level. And you see this with the juxtaposition of the border, the coronavirus, and the rioting. So here we were told that we had to lock down, that if you have just 10 people or 15 people in a business, arbitrarily that's just going to spread the virus and you have to shut down. But on the other hand, the minute we had thousands of people packed, jam-packed together, closer than they were during the Liberty Bonds parade during the Spanish flu that's widely believed to be responsible for the spread in 1918, somehow that wasn't a problem. Now we have a spread that is a little bit illusory and superficial going on in other states. We talked about that a lot. What is and isn't going on, it's a milder form. There's universal testing. People are back in the hospital, and anyone who tests positive, they have to be isolated, irrespective of how sick they are. But nonetheless, they are blaming it on you, on we the people, that we didn't lock down enough, and therefore we have to lock down again. What is shocking is that if you look at the timing and the age of who's getting it and when they're getting it, it is simply indefensible to blame it on a partial reopening that occurred weeks upon weeks ago and not on the mass protests that occurred right in that 1 to 3 week window exactly when you would see it and the age demographic of who you would see it. Pretty obvious. Now look, I'm consistent. I am not a big believer in outdoor transmission. I don't think it occurs. But if you are one who believes that an open sun, open air beach is going to cause a spread, when you have people packed to that degree in such a dynamic fashion, spreading across the country, all 50 states, every major and mid-sized city had them for a number of days, for several weeks, you better believe that's going to spread it. And look, even though I don't believe in outdoor transmission, just the transportation, logistics, and the likely indoor partying and meetings that accompanied this, it's very hard to imagine that did not contribute. So you think about it, just like Elijah told Ahab, have you killed and have you inherited, when the king of Israel killed someone to inherit his vineyard? They are now bringing the virus upon us with these mass protests and through the border, and now we get blamed for it. That's pretty sick. Because the few things you can do as a human to mitigate what is really a very natural phenomenon that is going to run its course pretty much irrespective of what you do, the two things are avoiding super spreading events, mass gatherings, and locking down your border so that you don't inherit or reimport another country's epidemiological curve. Mexico, their curve was in May, not in March and April like ours. It was around then when we let in all the LPRs, all the dual citizens, flooding our hospitals. I have 2 very comprehensive articles with compelling stories, testimony, and data that show incontrovertibly that this came from the border. At least the serious cases, because, they don't have good hospitalization there. I get why they want to come. But if we believe we're responsible for Mexico, even when we're in such dire straits, we should set up a field hospital right at the border, not bring them into the interior. Yet they're not talking about that. They're not talking about that. Just 1.5% of known cases in Imperial County, California, are non-Hispanic. That tells you it came from recent arrivals, which we now know some of the hospitals, as much as 60% in Imperial County, came from recent arrivals in Mexico. I just asked a border agent friend of mine, I said, forget about green card holders. What if they're here illegally? You catch them coming in, or they come up to you and say, I have COVID. What do you do with them? And he said, well, we take them to the hospital. So we now have a travel ban to keep people out, except if they have COVID, which we bring them in. And then we lock down Americans. Pretty sick. Think about this. Not only did the reopening of the estates occur too early to account for what's going on, there's too much of a lag time, but also the magnitude of what they did. It was gradual, it was cautious. 20 people in a business. It makes no sense to pin it on that and not a mass super spreading event and series of events. You look at those pictures, they're jam-packed. Floyd's funeral. Americans are told your grandparents, your uncles, great uncles, parents even, had to have a graveside funeral with no more than 10 people and be buried quietly. Yet we were told that this man who pointed a gun at a pregnant female one time, even after his repentance, he was on drugs, tried to cheat a clerk, fought with the police. Of course, he didn't deserve to die that day. But really, I mean, this guy's Mother Teresa. So he gets to have tens of thousands of people packed together in a funeral. That is the despotic nature of our government, our governing elite, the media. This is why you cannot believe anything you hear from them. It's going to take us another couple days to debunk what they're putting out. And you know what? They'll just go on to the next thing and the next lie. That's why I need you guys to build an army. Let's collaborate at Horowitz Citizen Sanctuary. Miniman Speakeasy, our private page there on Facebook. Let's get the truth out. Knowledge is power. Because if we don't have the knowledge and the power, the other side will use it and abuse it. Folks, have a terrific weekend. See you again next week.